What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be taking a look at Motorola's new budget smartphone, the Motorola Moto E. It retails for about $130. You can get it on the Motorola website, and it's only available for GSM networks, and it comes unlocked. It's basically the Moto G's little brother. Now, in order to make this phone so cheap, they had to do a lot of cutbacks. Some of those cutbacks include the packaging. You're not going to get any fancy packaging like you do with the iPhone or the Galaxy S series or even the HTC One. It's just a basic cardboard box with a picture of the Moto E on the front and the Motorola emblem. Opening the box is nothing special. You just pull it open from the side, and once it's open, you're greeted with the Motorola Moto E. It's a very short and stout phone, but it still feels good in the hand. It doesn't have a lot of weight to it. It's basically a short and fat or short and plump Moto X. If you pull out the tray that the Moto E was sitting on and look beneath that, you're going to find the charger. It's a white charger, and it's going to be white whether you get the white model or the black model Moto E. In this case, we have the black model, and it's still a white charger, and it's also a one-piece charger. It does not separate into a charging brick and a data cable, so if you need a cable to sync your phone with your computer, you're going to have to buy a new micro USB cable in order to sync it with your computer that way. Beneath the charger, you're going to find some paperwork and some literature about the Motorola product you just purchased, and basically how-to guide, how to set it up, some antenna, some safety, and some warranty information, stuff that you basically will never read. And other than that, there is nothing left in the box. Now, the first thing I noticed when looking at the Moto E was the screen protector. On the screen protector, it says that it's a Google company. Now, this might have been because when they started making the phone, Motorola was still owned by Google, but now Motorola is owned by Lenovo, and they've actually shut down the factory in Texas, or Google has shut down the factory in Texas that Motorola was making their devices and shipping their devices out of. As we all know, the Moto X was made and designed in America. Taking a look at the left side of the phone, you can see there's nothing to really talk about. You can see some of that glossy plastic that goes around the front of the phone and some of that matte soft plastic that goes on the back. The back has a curve to it just like the Moto G and Moto X have, so it's a very ergonomical structure. On the bottom, you have your micro USB charging port as well as a microphone. There's nothing fancy here, it's just your typical micro USB charging port, but we'll go ahead and zoom in so you can get a closer look. On the right side of the phone, you have your volume up and down and your power button, both in like a chrome silver accent finish, and they are very elegant and very classy, and they feel very good when you're pressing them. They're not too big and they're not too small, and you can feel that they're there, so you don't need to look at them when pressing the buttons. On the top of the phone, you have your 3.5mm headphone jack as well as another microphone. This microphone is used for recording sound when using the camera, as well as like a noise canceling mic when placing phone calls. On the bottom of the front of the phone, you have your front-facing speaker. You can see the speaker grill, and there's also a microphone down there used for making voice calls. Moving up the 4.3-inch 540 by 960 QHD display with a pixel density of 256 ppi, you have the speaker grill at the top with a LED notification light and a proximity sensor. You do not get a front-facing camera with this particular phone. Moving up the back, which is done in a soft touch matte plastic, you have the classic Motorola emblem, which is inside an indentation or dimple, as well as the camera on the back. The camera is a 5-megapixel camera and does not feature LED flash. Now, I wanted to do a quick size comparison so you can get a feel on how big and how thick the Motorola Moto E is. Here it is next to the iPhone 5S. You can see the Moto E is very thick, and here it is next to the Nexus 5. It's a very thick and very fat phone compared to these other devices, but it still has a comfortable feel in the hand, and it's very short. Here it is, and you can see the 1+1 towers over all of these devices, but next to the iPhone 5S, the Moto E is still a little bit smaller. Just like its older brother, the Moto G, it has a removable back. Underneath that back is where you're going to put your micro SIM card, and it's also going to give you access to a micro SD card slot, expandable up to 32 gigabytes. So it's a very cool feature and a very nice feature that the Moto X nor the Moto G have. Now, it's not going to give you access to a removable battery, but the built-in lithium-ion 1980 milliamp battery is going to be enough to get you through a full day's use. Considering this phone does not have the top-end specs that a lot of the flagships have, so it doesn't have a lot of power consumption coming from the processor and things like that. Now, one of the main purposes of having a removable back, at least to Motorola standards, is having the ability to swap the backplate. Just like the Moto G, the Moto E has swappable backplates. In this case, we're going to be swapping it out with the blue one here. You can see it's a royal blue, and it has the same soft touch feel as the black that came with the phone. And as of now, you have 6 colors to choose from, so if you get a white one, you can always get a black one to swap it out with, and to put it on, you put it on just like you would the one that came with your phone. You'll hear comforting clicks and snaps when putting it on the back. Once it's all snapped on, you're good to go. It has the same feel and texture as the one that came with your Moto E, and it also has that same dimple that Motorola is known for, so you're not losing anything, you're only gaining a color that you actually like. Now, I've already stated this previously, but I'm going to go ahead and elaborate on it. The in-the-hand feel of this phone is absolutely excellent. The curve fits in the palm very good, the size of it, and overall the thickness of it is excellent. You can easily manipulate the power and volume buttons without having to adjust your hand, and you can access from corner to corner, diagonally, the whole screen of the phone using it with one hand. So one-handed use is a breeze due to the size and the build of this phone. Since the screen isn't the most expensive or most high quality, you're not going to get the best viewing angles, but for the most part they'll get the job done and they're not awful by any means. Touchscreen responsiveness is excellent. I didn't experience any lag when gliding my finger along the touchscreen, and it's also important to add it does have Gorilla Glass 3 and a built-in smudge and anti-fingerprint coating, or a nano coating for that matter. The reason why this phone can run so smooth is the fact that it's running a near stock build of Android. It only has a few of Motorola's little perks that they add in there, such as the ability to access your widgets through your app drawer. There's also many other things that Motorola adds in there, such as the Motorola account that you can set up, which basically backs up your settings, and you can also track your lost phone, and you can even send text messages from your computer as long as you're using the Chrome browser. Another great feature about this phone is the fact that it's running almost the latest version of Android. Granted, the Nexus 5 now has the 4.4.3 update. This is getting the 4.4.3 update later this week. So Motorola pushes their updates much faster than any other device brand, so you're guaranteed that through the life of your device. The fluidity and smoothness of this device is also excellent, whether you're multitasking or just browsing your home screens or going to Chrome and doing some web browsing. It's very smooth and it offers an excellent user experience, and that's thanks to the near stock build of Android. As I previously stated, the internals of this phone are nothing special. In fact, they're below average. It features a Qualcomm Snapdragon 200 with a 1.2 GHz dual-core A7 CPU with the Adreno 302 for graphics. It has a single-core GPU, 4 GB of onboard storage, and 1 GB of RAM. Despite these below average specs and how they rate against other flagships or other devices out there, even if they're budget devices, it performs excellent, and that's thanks to the near stock build of Android and the fact that Motorola knows how to design their phones to run with less power consumption. And it's thanks to these specs that's actually going to give you better battery life. For the most part, you can get a full day's use out of this phone, and if you push it and not do a whole lot of gaming or anything like that, you can actually see 24 hours of use out of this phone easily. But as you can see, it can handle most games very easy without any lag. This game is Into the Dead, and you can see it's a very high graphic game with a lot of frame rates, and it performs easy, and I did not experience any lag whatsoever throughout my gameplay of any of the games that I experimented with. I did not test Dead Trigger, as Danny over at Super Scientific already did that. I'll leave the link in the description below to his video. He did a full gaming video for the Moto E, so make sure you check it out. As far as call quality goes, it does excellent. Motorola is always known for designing good phones that have good call quality and just good in-call experience in general. Here's a quick demonstration of the front-facing speaker with the face up, and I also faced it down. It's very loud and performs excellent.
Life's a nightmare, so I'm dreaming of being free. Living comes with a cause, and even death has a fee. That's why there's so much pressure not to be broken. They bury me. Black sheep among wolves, what chance will I really have? Never graduated school, they assume I have no class. Blow crash, trying to read my mistakes in the past. Damn it, I fall, get ahead, they wind up where I'm at. So I crash, trying to get my life back on track. Never seen a fast lane, grew up broke and black. 2 strikes, now I'm back in jail for the third. And it won't get you far, when guilt is the only word. I'm mad at my pops, I'm sure he fed up with me. I felt betrayed when he handed the cops my car keys. All I had, now I'm back to nothing. Square one, incarcerated, feeling like my only chance is a gun.
So let's go ahead and move on to the back of the phone and get back to that camera. The 5 megapixel shooter on the back, which is capable of taking video at 720p. The only thing I like about this camera is the app itself. Motorola has designed an excellent app, and that's my personal opinion. It doesn't have a lot of features, so you don't get lost in a ton of features that just overwhelm you. It's very simple and very straightforward. You swipe to the right, and that's all the features you got. You can turn off location, you can turn on the sound that the shutter makes, or you can turn it off. You can select where your photos go as far as storage, and just HDR and just some minor little tweaks there. There's not a whole lot to choose from, but you don't need all that. To me, all your post editing can be done in a third-party app. You drag the circle for exposure and focus area, but I'm not going to BS you. The image quality sucks. It doesn't have good and accurate colors. The color saturation is terrible. It hardly focuses for macro mode, and the white balance is off. The ISO is off. Everything is off with this camera, and I don't recommend getting this phone for the camera itself. Even indoor shots, outdoor shots, it doesn't matter if you have perfect lighting, the camera's still going to screw it up. Video quality is also terrible. It's very grainy, but picking up the sound from the video itself, it sounds excellent. It's just the image or video quality itself. It's 720p, so it should at least be a little bit better than this, but as you can see, it's very grainy and the colors are terrible. And because this phone is so cheap, that's one of the cutbacks, is the camera and the fact that they did not include a flash. Another cutback they did was the fact that it does not feature LTE. It also does not work on Sprint or Verizon networks. It has to work on GSM, T-Mobile, and AT&T type networks only. But you're going to get HSPA plus speeds depending on your location, and those speeds are not bad at all. They're not comparable to LTE, but they're still much better than 3G Edge that you find on Verizon and Sprint networks. While I'm using larger phones like the OnePlus One and the Oppo Find 7a, when I go to the gym, those phones are very uncomfortable to use when running. So I'm going to be using this phone as my iPod. It's much cheaper, it has a data connection, and it basically can do everything the iPod can and give me a data connection. Well guys, I hope you liked this video. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, follow me on all my social media connections, and of course, as always guys, thank you for watching and all your support.